Boarding my flight out of my hometown of Chicago, I was really excited about enjoying the perks of my first class trip to Nashville, Tennessee. I planned on relaxing, enjoying my window seat, sipping some champagne, and listening to an audiobook. A few minutes later, a man walked up to the seat beside me. It was empty. He smiled and said, "It looks like we're neighbors for this flight." I smiled back and said, "Looks like you're right." He put his bag in the overhead bin and got comfortable in his seat. This interaction caught me a little bit off guard because this man was extremely attractive. And on top of it, he was friendly right off the bat. Nowadays, some men can be so weird that they don't even speak or acknowledge women, even if they're attracted to them. I put my headphones on and began listening to my book. About 20 minutes later, everyone had boarded the flight and the plane took off shortly after that. Sometime into the flight, the guy beside me tapped me on the arm. I removed my headphones and he asked me what I was going to Nashville for and if it was my first time. I told him yes, and that I was really excited because I would be going there for work for a couple of months. He told me his name was James, and of course, I told him that my name was Mandy. James and I ended up talking and enjoying each other's company the entire flight. During our conversation, I learned that James was a 35-year-old engineer living in Nashville for the last 4 years. He was originally from Ghana. He also was a single dad of a 10-year-old son. I shared with him that I was 26, no kids, and was coming to Nashville for a work project, as I work for a PR company and I would be working with some of the local artists in Nashville for the next 3 months. My company was providing a corporate apartment for me and rental cars, so outside of work, I was really excited about exploring the city. When we were about to land, James asked me for my phone number, and of course, I gave it to him. He was tall, dark, handsome, and his smile was so amazing. I was pretty hooked instantly, and not to mention, he smelled amazing. When we got off the plane, we said our goodbyes and went our separate ways. I picked up my rental car and headed to my corporate apartment. Once I was settled in, I couldn't help to think about when James was going to call me or text me. I didn't have his number, I only gave him mine. Fast forward 3 days and work is going amazing. I had already met some cool people. James still had not called or texted me. I must say I was a little bit disappointed because I thought that we really hit it off. But hey, it is what it is. Fast forward a few more days. So at this point, I had been in Nashville for about a week. I was really having a good time with my coworkers at work and out of work. They took me to a couple of lounges, a couple of clubs. Nashville is full of music and fun, and I had been having a very good time. During one of those nights on the town, I met this guy, and his name was Scott. He was really cute, and we decided to go to dinner the night after we met. The evening of the dinner date, the restaurant was really nice, and it was a beautiful evening, but during our conversation, I could tell that Scott and I did not have much in common, and I didn't really think that after this date it would go anywhere. Nevertheless, he was really nice and he was respectful, so I decided to continue on with the dinner and just have a good time. During our meal, I got a text message. I looked at my phone and it was James. The message read, "Hey Mandy, it's James from your flight. I hope you're enjoying Nashville so far. I wanted to give you time to get situated and adjusted at work. I was wondering if you wanted to hang out with me this Saturday if you're available. Maybe I can show you around Nashville." After I read the message, I put the phone back in my purse. My facial expression did not change, but inside I was screaming with excitement. However, I wasn't going to text back right away. Plus, I also wanted to be respectful to Scott. Even though I didn't have any plans on seeing him again, I didn't plan on sitting there at the table texting anyone. After dinner, Scott kissed me on the cheek and we said our goodbyes in the parking lot. I'm sure Scott could tell that we were not compatible as well, because he didn't mention going anywhere after dinner and he did not try to secure a second date. I think that we were both comfortable with just moving on. When I got back to my apartment that night, I decided to text James back after I took a shower and got situated. My text read, "Hey you, thanks for giving me time to settle in. I'm loving Nashville so far. How are you?" James texted me back right away, and we went back and forth for about an hour or so, and I fell asleep. The next day around 10 a.m., James texted me again and asked me if he could take me to lunch that day. I was excited and I agreed. He showed up at my job a little bit after 1 p.m. We went to a local restaurant, enjoyed some sandwiches, some tea. We just had a really good time. And of course, our conversation was on point. It continued right from where we left off on the flight. I definitely felt a spark with James. Over the next few weeks, we did sleep together. Quite often, actually. We had many dinners together. He hung out with me at my apartment. I would visit him at his house on the weekends when his son was with his grandparents. James had all of the qualities that I was looking for. But of course, I didn't want to rush anything because I wasn't looking for a relationship. I just wanted to enjoy the moments during this journey. After seeing each other for about a month, James invited me to have dinner at his house with him and his son. I was so flattered and also a bit hesitant because I could tell that this meant that James was feeling a little bit more serious about me if he wanted me to meet his son. I gladly accepted the invitation and came over to the house the next evening for dinner. When I arrived, James and his son both met me at the door. His son was so cute, nice, sweet, and respectful. He was a very talkative kid, and I thought that was an awesome quality to have. He was raising an amazing son. That evening, James cooked a fabulous dinner, red salmon with red sauce and rice. It was delicious. The man could cook as well. Damn, what couldn't he do? I have to admit, I was definitely falling for him. Me being 26 and dating someone that was 35 was a change for me. James was established, mature, and had all of the qualities of a real man, unlike a lot of the guys my age that I had been dating. So now let's fast forward some more, and at this point I had been in Nashville for 2 months. During this time, all I did was spend time with James, and occasionally me, him, and his son would hang out, go to dinner, parks, and short road trips to other parts of Tennessee. It was a great time. One Sunday, I came over around noon and James decided to cook out. All of us were in the backyard, the grill was going, music was going, we were having a good time. At some point, James ran into the house to check on something, and when he left, it was just me and his son sitting outside on the patio. His son said to me, "Miss Mandy, how old are you?" I told him to guess. He said, "I don't know, but I bet you're younger than my dad." I responded, "Yes, you are right. I'm younger than your father." Then he said, "Well, my dad is 51, so that means you're probably 30 or 40. I damn near passed out inside, but I hid my shock. I told his son, "Nope, you're wrong. I'm 26. Then he said, "Wow, that's way younger than my dad." At this point, my mind was racing because James did not look a day over 37, 38. I did not want to show his son that I was shocked at what he said, so I just changed the subject and started asking him questions about school. About 2 minutes later, James came back outside. I didn't say a word about what his son had just told me. I planned on finding out the truth, but I had no idea how I was going to do it. After James was done cooking, we all went into the living room, watched TV, and ate. I just felt so uneasy the entire time thinking about the possibility that this man had been lying to me. I just kept hope that his son was kidding about his dad's age, but I knew I needed solid proof for myself. The perfect opportunity presented itself that evening when James and I was in his room and he decided to jump into the shower. Lucky for me, his wallet was on the nightstand. As soon as I heard the shower door close, I sprang into action. Now let me be clear. I am not the type of woman that snoops through a man's things that I'm dating. Absolutely not. I'm not looking for cheating stuff or any bullshit like that. This here situation was completely justified as far as I was concerned. As soon as I opened his wallet, his license was right there, and to my horror, it confirmed that he was indeed 51 years old. I snapped a picture of his ID with my phone. When he got out of the shower, I told him that I wasn't feeling well and that I was going to go ahead and head home. I decided not to confront him at his house for many reasons. I didn't want him to know that his son had told me his real age. He was innocent and sweet, and I just decided that that was not going to be part of the conversation when I let James know that I knew his age. One of the other reasons I decided not to confront him at his house was I realized I had no idea who this man really was. He had been lying to me for weeks, and I almost instantly lost all trust for him. At this point, I figured he was capable of anything. On my drive home, there was so much running through my head. I was angry and disgusted that he lied, and confused as far as how this man looked so youthful. 51 is not old, but he did not look 51. Me being 26 and dating a man that's 51 was not my preference. Personally, he was too old for me. Hell, both of my parents were 55. Ultimately, I decided to ghost James for a while. For the next few days, he was calling and texting me nonstop, but I did not respond. Finally, one day while I was at work, I decided that the best way to confront James was to ask him on FaceTime. I didn't want to text him or do a regular phone call because I wanted to see the look on his face when I confronted him with the truth. When he picked up, he said, "Babe, oh my goodness, where have you been?" I didn't waste any time. I just blurted it out. "Why did you lie to me about your age? You're 51 years old." The look on his face was priceless. He knew he was completely busted. There was no reason for him to lie anymore. I'm not sure why I decided to say this next, but I did. The next thing I said to him was, "I know everything. Everything, James. I know everything. Why have you been lying to me?" I added this in hopes of him telling me anything else that he had been lying about. And lo and behold, it worked. He moved his head slightly away from the phone, and I could only see half of his face at this time. He said, "I'm sorry, Mandy. I felt like if I told you the truth about my age and how many kids I had, you would have never went out with me." I froze because what did he mean how many kids he had? As far as I knew, he only had one. He had never said anything about any more kids. I kept a straight face and I let him keep talking. He asked me over and over again how I found out, but I didn't say a word. Then he said, "Mandy, I can understand if you don't want to talk to me anymore. Yes, I'm 51. I have 8 kids, and I'm still waiting for my divorce to be final." At this point, I lost it. I started yelling and going crazy. 8 kids? Married? Are you serious? You told me you only had one. You told me that you were single. Where is this coming from? Why were you lying to me? I wish I could sue your dusty ass for lying. In the middle of me going off, he's yelling my name and telling me that the reason why he didn't tell me any of this because he was afraid that I would not date him. He said that he was in the middle of a divorce. They're no longer together. And he started just saying, "You've been to my house, and I asked him, I'm like, "Where are the rest of these kids?" He proceeded to tell me that they were with their mother. Some of them were in Ghana. Some of them were in Tennessee. Some of them were in Atlanta. I felt like I was going to pass out. At that point, I just hung up the phone. I was in complete disbelief. I sat in my car for a second and got myself together. I'm a very optimistic person, so the first thing I started thinking about was, I'm glad that this did not last too long. I'm glad that I was at least smart enough that every single time we were intimate, I protected myself. Because, my goodness, I could have been giving birth to this man's 9th child. I'm just glad I found out when I did. We dated for 2 months and not 2 years. So not too much time was wasted as far as I was concerned, but a lesson was definitely learned. The dating scene can be so scary because you try to trust people, but you can never truly let your guard down.